Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 835 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Taco Molda, and joining me today in pretend low Earth orbit, we have none other than Rob Roseboom.
Hello.
And Chris DeBona.
Yeah, hi.
We've completed the pre-show airing of grievances.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we really just got started, but
that's true. We can.
There'll be more afterwards.
Right. Sure. Well, that's what the podcast listener doesn't understand is that before we record, we complain about all the things that are bad. Then we record, and then we come back.
Then we remember things we forgot to complain about.
New
then
things.
We complain about them just a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it.
Yep. All right. Well, what do we got on the list? Well, we have the one that has probably the best title in a while. The title is 3 Women Contract HIV from, quote, Dirty Vampire Facials at Unlicensed Spa. Now, I posted this story entirely because I wanted to talk about vampire facials. And then it turns out Rob's an expert.
Yeah.
So, Rob, please help us understand.
So they basically are microabrasing your entire face to increase blood flow. And what they generally do is
like little needles.
They will take some of your blood and beforehand and use that in the process. It sounded all very Barathi to me, like
Baratheon, like Game of Thrones.
No, like the lady who bathed in blood.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's it. And go figure. The needles they were using for the procedure, they didn't clean them really well all the time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate.
So yeah, it's got nothing to do with
a complete shock. Let's not forget how shocking it is that they didn't clean their needles.
It's got nothing to do with undead eroticism or anything else like you might think.
It might.
Then why are we talking about it? I mean, really?
Yeah, I know.
This is just another, back alley cosmetic procedure story that we see 4 or 5 times a year, usually in New York and usually with butt or cheek implants.
Yeah.
Do it yourself. Like Evan and Caitlin. I'm surprised they haven't had a DIY resin infusion cheek implant.
Guys, we're injecting resin into our cheekbones.
Hi, guys. I'm Evelyn. I'm Caitlin.
It's like all the kids,
Today we're inject resin into butts.
All the kids, injecting urchin venom into themselves to
lurching with the urchin. Yeah.
Lurching with the urchin. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. But I saw it on Google, so it must be true.
Be real.
It's true.
It's what attracted the sea otters to Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Jesus.
Still there, by the way. Still there if you search.
Oh, fantastic!
Excellent.
What do you look for? Are there sea
otters in Hawaii?
Explain this to our podcast listener.
Yeah.
So we wrote a story for the game, a fictitious story about weather patterns changing and sea otters going to Hawaii because, Chris's kid likes sea otters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have some in the game, so we thought it'd be interesting to make a story about it. But if you type in do sea otters live in Hawaii? The very first search you'll get on the Googles is my fictitious story. And it's actually highlighted as the thing that you could get the most information from. So there you are.
Yeah.
I hope I've ruined a term paper someplace, a report about sea otters.
I can guarantee you
definitely poisoned an AI harvester.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
Oh, we should ask ChatGPT.
How old is the story?
Years.
4 or 5 years or something.
Yeah, so it's had plenty of time to crawl it.
Okay, are there sea otters off Lahaina? That was the question. Yes. Sea otters are native to Hawaii and are not found in the wild around Lahaina. Okay, so you're more likely to... this is actually pretty accurate.
Oh, all right. Bummer.
Up in Hawaii.
Sea otters are typically found off Hawaii.
Hawaii, not or are there sea otters in Hawaii?
I mean, because if not, that's pretty disappointing. The sea otters are pretty cool. Are there sea otters in Hawaii? No, sea otters are not native to Hawaii.
No, you guys got to get better on your hallucinating AI stuff.
I mean, let me try with ChatGPT 3.5.
You need a dumber model.
Yeah. See, altars in Hawaii.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh no. You got it?
Yeah, I got it. Here. How do I collapse the sidebar here? Yeah.
This is gonna be worth it, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, that's exactly the plot.
That's
That is
amazing.
hilarious.
I mean, it corrects
Huh?
itself, but yeah,
Well, it's hallucinating, right? It's like got half of
it's really funny actually
Yeah.
because like it says yes, they were introduced to control the urchin population, which was causing the teens to lurch with the urch.
Mhm.
of course.
Yeah.
There, you know how teens are when they get that urchin venom in, and you know.
Yeah.
Can you get high from sea urchin
Oh no.
venom?
Oh, it's gonna caveat this, right?
What?
Seek medical attention.
Is lurchin with the urchin then?
Oh.
Oh,
It
what a
read the
shame.
story, but it didn't learn the lesson.
It didn't learn the lesson.
That's a separate story.
Oh,
so
okay. Incomplete.
Here, let's go back to 4.
Incomplete.
in the pantheon of the sea urchin story arc.
I mean, I guess that's true. It is not widely known. It is something that the two of you say to each other to make each other giggle.
It's not any stupider than Tide Pods.
That's true. We do live in a weird world.
All right, this is not all that useful.
No.
So.
All right. Let's see.
You're gonna have to try harder, Rob.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there's a story about Reddit bots reposting entire threads, which is actually.
Oh yeah.
There's a related one that I didn't post, but this is just like a screenshot with two side by side. Like one is an original conversation, and then another, or maybe an original conversation, and then the other is like a bot literally created dummy accounts and mirrored the entire thread into a different forum on Reddit. Which, I mean, I think it might even be a sponsored post, so it's just like all around scummy. Like the the dead internet theory thing.
It's dead, and we just don't know it.
Well, you know the theory, right? You've heard this thing.
We're all dead.
The thing is that the story is that the internet died years ago, and everything on the internet now is bots. And this has been going now for years. This story, but like it's sad because like things like this are like they're turning what started off as kind of like a little joke, fringy theory. It's going to be real eventually, and that's kind of scary. There was also another one that I didn't link called Reply Guy, which was another AI tool. And basically, you just tell it about your product, I guess, and then it just starts replying to Reddit posts that are vaguely adjacent to your product, pretending to be a person and telling you all about your product. So Reply Guy is just like the advertiser that pretends to be organic. Isn't that great?
Classy.
Don't we live in a great world? An amazing future?
I mean,
the internet used to be nice. It's a shame.
yeah. But then, people sold parts of it off to companies. This is what happens.
Yay! That's okay. Capitalism's cool. Somebody put up a nice web interface for Spacewar. If you want to relive the 60s.
Where did it go? There it is.
It's all keyboard.
Do I?
Yeah. But apparently this is actually running an emulator.
I'm playing like Ken Thompson.
Yeah, back in the day, baby. You're going to eventually just die because you don't have a player 2, and eventually player 2 just crashes into the sun.
I'm trying not to crash into this.
Thrust!
I don't know how to thrust.
I do like that the emulator like does a really good job of like having the phosphors like fade.
Oh, okay. So that's shooting.
Yeah.
What's thrust?
I think S might be thrust. There you go.
Oh, you're right.
Thrusting, Chris.
Okay, and then
I played it only long enough to successfully shoot the guy, or shoot my opponent before he hit a star.
okay, I didn't get to the second player controls fast enough.
That's all right. Nobody's judging you.
Everyone is judging me.
All right. You know, one of those spaceships might be the Psyche probe, because it's now 140 million miles away from Earth.
Okay.
And using some fancy schmancy new optical data beaming technology, they're able to get 25 megabits from 140 million miles away. And the story helpfully notes that that's enough to stream Netflix in Ultra.
Did it mention that it's better than Rob Roseboom's bandwidth in the middle of Michigan?
Hey,
Hey,
it's not that bad now that I got Musk satellites.
Muskernet?
Musk Link.
Musklink.
Elanternet?
But I'll tell you, some of the storms that are rolling through right now.
Oh yeah.
It's still it's much better than other satellites, but it's still a satellite.
It ain't great. So Russia pulled a Russia, and they cloned Wikipedia.
Oh yeah.
Censored it, and then banned the original. And the article is actually pretty amusing. It goes and lists like how they change certain little things. Like there's just a bunch of pages that are just missing.
Yeah, that's
and the description that Putin is 8.5 feet tall, and can wrestle a tiger,
wrestle a bear.
Yep. Defeated in Napoleon in hand-to-hand combat 7 times.
You know, it's not all good news about Putin though on Russian Wikipedia. There's a whole section on how he has such a hard time keeping shirts on because he's so buff.
Yeah, he just tears them off
he's
like
constantly tearing them and like they don't adhere, the way they do with normal people.
Yeah, he can't use natural fibers because nature itself wants him to be shirtless at all times. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's
cotton's out, wool's out.
It's unnatural for him to for him to wear a shirt, during the summer.
Their entire Russian space program is just dedicated to finding some sort of Kevlar Velcro hybrid strong enough to contain his masculinity.
Yeah, he's very masculine.
And
maybe
he goes to North
spray.
Korea. Oh, a spray, yeah.
A spray so he can be shirtless in space.
He sometimes goes to North Korea and has a hole-in-one marathon with other leaders.
Kim Jong-il and Donald Trump, Yeah. Oh, it's funny they all have that in common. Right. Like they have people gin up their golf games.
Guys, it's another tie. It's 18 to 18 to 18. This just isn't fun anymore.
Yeah. We shall play in DMZ next time.
Yeah, maybe on my golf course you'll miss one.
Yeah,
Vladimir.
Vladimir.
Have you read any of the stories about the Rabbit R1?
It's a one of those AI assistant things. I don't know. I don't think it's bad that it's an app. There's nothing wrong with it being an app.
Let me fill you in on a little bit more.
It's just a cheapo phone with an app on it. Who cares? That's great.
Okay, so kinda. Because the story actually is getting funnier and funnier. It's like a $200 dealie. You can stick a SIM card in it, which is nice because you can use it on Wi-Fi. You don't have to subscribe, but you do got to get the extra SIM card if you want to use it on a road. It's got a crappy camera.
For those of you who are using Google Fi, you just go to their website. They'll send you a data SIM for free, and then poof, you're data simming.
Except you got to pay a monthly fee.
But you're already paying for it.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
It doesn't change anything.
So it's hideous and orange. It has a weird, playful design, and the irony of the whole thing is they try to make you use the interface with the little scroll wheel thing, even though it is technically a touch screen. They just don't use the touch screen hardly at all, and it's pretty laggy. It's really dumb. It has really crappy plugins to Spotify, and the whole premise of this thing is that if you buy it and they continue to train on it for a while, eventually it's going to learn how to do useful things. So, but it's like this new generation of product where we ship it before it's ready, and then we hope that after 12 service patches, it actually does something useful to justify the price you paid for it years ago. So it's like a Kickstarter where you get the toy a little earlier. Anyway, that's piece number one. That's the backstory of this. Piece number two.
Well, I'm pasting in the teardown, and if you watch the teardown, you're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen this before."
Yeah, it's just like a crappy cheap phone. It's nothing special. But what's funny about this is that then they determined that like everybody was just like, this should just be an app. This is stupid. They tear it down and then, oh, it's running Android. And all this thing is just an Android app running on this thing that you can't get out of. Like it's a captured Android app, which is funny in and of itself. And you think, okay, that's the end of the story. That's fine. But then it goes a little further and it turns out that the whole thing is basically just running VNC. And the app is basically just screen sharing. So you're typing your passwords and shit into something that's just screen sharing.
No. No, that's a terrible way to do this.
I mean, I'm sure it's encrypted. I'm sure, question mark?
Question mark?
But yeah.
Well,
so they're selling you a $200 VNC terminal.
I mean, that's kind of amazing, you know?
It is kind of amazing.
Yeah. Here's the other one, the one that's $700.
Oh, the Humane.
Yeah.
That to me seems like a piece of garbage.
Well, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
You know, it's $700 and then $24 a month, and they're like, and it goes through its battery in no time at all.
Yeah, like
and
they all get like 3 hours of battery. That one is particularly amusing because it's clearly really heavy. And so every time you see
it's a chunkster.
you see it used like on a real human, their shirt, I'll try to demonstrate, their shirt has like this stretchy sag to it where this obviously over heavy thing is. But if you look at on the marketing, they're obviously wearing thicker shirts.
Yeah.
So
They've got support
like Shirtgate.
Over the shoulder boulder holder for the, for the Humane AI.
Yeah, for your Humane AI. Anyway, the Rabbit R1 thing, that's been amusing me lately. Guys, you wanna make a little happy birthday cake, or is that too basic?
What?
Is it too basic to make a birthday cake for a programming language?
No, I think it's nice.
Rob, do you want to sing for us?
What do you think?
Yeah, that's about right. Basic turns 60. The language that we probably all learned to program with first.
It was one of my first languages.
But they don't really teach that much anymore. Now the kids have like dumber stuff. And definitely not line numbers.
Definitely not that.
I remember in, I don't know, like 7th or 8th grade when I was learning BASIC and my teacher was like, look, when you have a real programming, and I didn't understand this at the time, but he's like, with a real programming language, you have functions. But in BASIC, you don't really have functions. So what we're going to do is we're going to say function 1 is at line 1000 and function 2 is at line 2000. And then you're going to use goto statements to do. And it was just, but like, it is kind of mind blowing when you're a little kid and you realize what functions are. But it is also very funny to use like the segment them with line numbers.
Yeah. So, of course, this drives me down the rabbit hole of looking up the old HP computer that I first learned BASIC on, which I believe was this 85.
Wow.
Yeah. So this had BASIC, and I thought it was a version of Microsoft BASIC, kind of like how GW BASIC was a version of Microsoft BASIC on the PC, you know? Yeah.
I'll paste into channel the thing that I learned to program on.
Yeah, what was that?
It was a compact luggable.
Oof.
I put it into general.
Well, it's great because you would get a workout and you would learn BASIC.
Oh, I was like a 5th grader. So my father would have to do the lugging.
A hydraulic lift.
Yeah. Beep, beep, beep. Yeah. So yeah, I learned how to program.
We should sample that for the game.
Right. I technically learned on a TRS-80, but this is what I really learned how to program on. Like I did like my first programs on a TRS-80, but my dad used to bring one of these things home from work on weekends, and so I could play. I had Alley Cat, a terrible space shuttle simulator, and GW Basic.
Well, I mean, once you had BASIC, you had the world, man.
You had everything.
You know what kills me? No, like the function keys are off on the left. Do you remember when they used to do keyboards like this?
Horrible.
Yeah, those big chunky, boom, 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 you know.
Actually, like with all the stuff that's going on with the kind of modern mechanical keyboard movement, there are people who do put the function keys on the left-hand side because it's actually for gamers and stuff, like having the macros without having to move your hand so far is not the worst thing in the universe.
It's true.
And I mean,
Although it is wrong. I mean, let's be clear. It's wrong to want that.
Like those should
only
be
wrong
custom.
people,
Those
want
should be
that.
a custom key set, not like F1 through 10, because you need your function keys to be at the top. Otherwise, how do you pause your music?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're a monster if you want that,
but you're a monster.
You're a monster.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, basic turn 10.
Yay.
Now it's time to, how long before it gets to go to 70? I don't know. Let's see. We got, wait, I should screenshot that so I have a screenshot to remember. Sony, and I don't know what Apollo is.
It's a big private equity company. Like the people who killed Toys R Us, that kind of thing.
Like, so, well, you just have to say private equity, and then
Although that was Bane.
Yeah. Well, private equity is just code for we ruin everything.
Yes.
But capitalism, so it's patriotic, and you gotta just accept it. Although,
well,
is it? I don't know. If there's small enough people, maybe I should start calling them oligarchs.
That's reasonable. Yeah.
So Sony and Apollo are going to buy Paramount for $26 billion. That's the offer. It's not confirmed or anything. And the way I found out about this was I saw some panicked write-up about how Star Trek is doomed because the $26 billion Star Trek deal is really just about Star Trek.
Well, so what's funny about it is, so they were talking to merge with Skydance, right? Yeah. Which has half of the Star Trek licensing.
Yep.
The whole Kelvin timeline and all the rest is that part of Skydance and Star Trek.
It's like Fox and Sony and Marvel.
It's very much so, yeah. So, they have the right to do a certain number of films and TV things, and then the TV things they can't use. Like they can't use the original Star Trek ship design. Like they can only use certain ship designs of the 1701. Like they can use C and E, but not the original and B. It's like, what is going on? So a merger with Skydance would have collapsed all that into one entity, one intellectual property entity, which would have actually been kind of smart.
For sure.
Right. So.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing that we have with Marvel, and it's taken them now how many years to get Wolverine into an MCU movie.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, if you think about it, this is why they didn't. It was one of the reasons they didn't want to use the Majel Barrett voice for the computer in the Kelvin timeline Star Treks, because Paramount controls that. That computer voice is Paramount. You have to use a different. It's like, Yeah. So.
That's why
or vice versa, like only Paramount uses.
Well, it's why they turned Miss Marvel into an Inhuman or whatever instead of a mutant, and they didn't use mutants for 10 years.
Yeah,
it's the same.
Was Miss Marvel an X-Men?
Yeah,
person.
She was adjacent to the X-Men originally, and she was a mutant originally.
Is Miss Marvel the teenager or the other one?
Teenager.
Miss Marvel's the kid.
Yeah. Okay.
Captain Marvel is Bree.
Yeah, is the gal from Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. Or the one from, what was it, Room?
Room?
Did you ever see
Yep.
Room?
No.
So Room is actually pretty amazing, but in that movie, the kid, it's her and a kid as the kind of main characters, and the kid is so much better than her. Like he just drowns her with his charisma, and she only got like recognition and accolades because he was so good. Like she was good, but he was so good. What was not so good? I watched this movie this week called The Bad Batch, which is not the Star Wars.
Oh, that's the original Jason Momoa.
Yes.
Right?
There's a Jason Momoa. I think about the Western.
Have you seen it, Rob?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's.
Oh, is this the cannibal one?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Jason Momoa and Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
I made it 15 minutes into it, and I was like, I can't do it. I'm out.
Actually, Kat noped out because there's a really gruesome scene like in the first 10 minutes. And
it's
the
grody.
rest of the movie is not really particularly gruesome. But there's a really gruesome scene in the opening. And
it was kind of a turnoff, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, Kat noped out. So I watched the rest of it, of course, because I watch everything, and have no. Although I did nope out of a movie yesterday. It was not the movie I thought it was, and I watched like 20 minutes, and I'm like, okay, this is definitely not. I thought I was going to be watching The First Omen.
Okay.
And it was not The First Omen.
Like with Damien and the 666.
Yeah, it
and
was
stuff?
all in Swahili. I was like, well, that's weird. But didn't like one of the Omen movies like have like half of it in like opened up in Africa or something? And one of those movies, maybe Exorcist 2, one of those movies had a.
It was the Exorcist reboot takes place mostly in North Africa.
Yeah, so I was thinking maybe it was that, but nope.
Yeah.
So I deleted it, and I'm gonna watch the end of it. Has anybody seen any media worthy of watching?
Gosh. Sure.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
but
I've been
have,
really busy the last 4 days, so it hasn't been really a TV and movie thing.
I have Godzilla.
Godzilla sounds awesome.
Godzilla. Yeah, it should
Let's
be
go with
called
that.
Godzilla, right?
Zero?
Yeah, I got Godzilla lined up to watch this weekend.
Do you mean -1 or do you mean
I do.
X Kong?
Yeah. No, -1.
X-Kong.
It's good. It's really good. Like it's a legit good movie.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
They were gonna do like a color version and a black and white version. Am I remembering that right?
I don't know. I imagine probably they do a black and white version since the original was in black and white.
Yeah. It's really good. It's really good. It's a movie that knows how to. It knows the old-fashioned thing of you don't just need your monsters to fight. It is so the opposite of Godzilla times Kong. Like you couldn't have 2 more different movies featuring the same character come out like 2 months apart. But it's yeah, okay. Amblue says there was a black and white release of Godzilla -1, which I would actually kind of like to watch. Maybe that's the version I'll watch. It's on my list to watch it again because I really did enjoy it. I watched the first 2 episodes of Dead Boy Detectives.
Oh, how is that?
It's fine. It's got a charm to it. It didn't have so far anyway like the big hook that kind of sold me on it.
Yeah.
You know, like Ghost Hardy Boys is fine. They cameo a Sandman character in the opening episode, which I won't spoil. But and that was actually kind of the coolest part of the episode. And they did something clever in the second episode with the Cat King. They did a clever thing that I liked. And I'll definitely give it another episode or 2. But so far, like it's one of those things that if I didn't see episode 3, I wouldn't cry in my Cheerios. But if I have a loose hour, I will probably watch it.
Okay.
You know, it's coming into theaters this weekend for May the 4th.
The Bad Batch the re-show to get it back into people's minds.
No, actually, the Bad Batch TV show is done. The final episode aired Wednesday, and I watched that too. And I actually liked the last episode.
Okay.
But I like the Bad Batch is a show where I like half of the episodes fine. And the only thing I really cared about in that show is I liked what they did with Omega being like the little sister clone. I liked that, and I liked how they developed her and her relationship with the Bad Batch. I liked everything to do with that. But the rest of the show kind of fell flat for me. But they ended it nicely. And I felt like everybody did things that I wanted to see them do, and I enjoyed the ending of it. But this weekend, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is returning to theaters for a 25th anniversary. Do you feel old now?
Phantom Menace?
Yep, the Phantom Menace.
Oh, the Phantom Menace.
Phantom
the French one?
Menace.
The French parody? Oh,
Yeah.
So I went to see that like 3 weeks after it came out,
Yeah.
and still the theater was packed.
Yeah.
and all the reviews were
Oh,
out
yeah.
about how much it sucked.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I still went to see it, and so did a bunch of other people, and they were right.
Yep.
Well, it's funny. I was talking with a friend over the last couple of days about this, and I wasn't into the new trilogy or the new trilogy. It's just like, it's Star Wars. I don't care. But they said something funny. They're like, you know what? I went back and watched the first 3 movies, the original trilogy. Well, it wasn't that good. I was like, yeah, there was some stuff that was not that good in that, and it was kind of a kid show, which is fine, if you're a kid, but and so when I think about like the Phantom Menace, I'm like, it's a kid show, that's just not that good.
You have to think of it that way. It's the only way that movie is tolerable.
I mean, honestly, there are parts of Doctor Who that I'm like, listen, this is just not aimed at me anymore. I'm just too old. I don't have the sense of wonder I had when I was a 12-year-old. It's fine.
I saw the Phantom Menace with you.
Menage with me?
With you. We saw it at the
Oh,
same theater,
right.
because we were in
God.
North Carolina.
I remember that. Yeah, we were there for like the Linux Fest, the Atlanta Linux Fest.
Conference.
Yeah.
And we had like 2 rows in that theater of disappointed people.
And we're like, that was a movie technically.
Yeah.
And then we went and played the video games at that arcade. That was cool.
We did.
That was a good arcade.
Like back in the Hydro Thunder.
Hydro Thunder.
Hydro Thunder.
It was good times.
You can. I've seen edits of the original trilogy stuff that like it's good if you do some editing. You could turn the Phantom Menace into a tolerable movie by just pulling 20 minutes. There's too much of the kid because the kid just can't do a line read. And
that poor kid, he got railed for that. And it's like
too. He had
he did,
schizophrenia or something.
Poor guy.
No, like he's like medically like when I say crazy, I don't mean like that pejoratively. Like I mean it like he had serious mental problems.
Poor kid. Man.
But all of his line reads are rough. And then the race scene in the middle, which is supposed to be like this big epic thing, it's like 20 minutes of boring.
It's so long. I didn't mind the pod race. There was some good stuff, but then it would cut to the weird announcers a lot. And I'm like,
the guy from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Is that who that was the announcer? Yeah.
Yeah, like if you cut 20 minutes out of that movie, it wouldn't be as cringe. But it's a mess of a movie.
Poor kid.
Yeah, it's actually pretty sad if you read up on it. If you want to feel depressed, but they did say like he didn't sustain as much abuse as you might have thought because he was pretty well shielded from it by his parents when he was a kid because he was really little. But that's the thing, man. You put a kid in a movie, and it's a dice roll, right? Because most kids are bad actors because they're not. Acting.
No, most kids are bad. They're terrible actors.
Most kids are parroting. They'll repeat the line read, and they can't. That's why when you find that kid who can, like emote properly, like the Stranger Things kids. You get a whole cast of little kids that can actually like you feel like they're actually.
I think the youngest was still a teenager, right?
I think 11 was like a kid. Was still really young when they did the first season. But like when you get little kids that can act, I mentioned Room earlier. The little kid in that movie was amazing. When you get that, it's really rare and really special. But it takes the right actor and the right director to make that happen. That's why like E.T. and like all the Goonies, those early 80s Spielberg movies. Spielberg knew how to work with kids.
Yeah, it looks like the youngest was like 10, on Stranger Things,
Yeah, Drew Barrymore, Magnum says, like when you get a director
and it
that
fucked her up, man.
Yeah, no, she didn't turn out normal, but it's pretty rare for the movies for like the movie to be good, the kid to be good, the director to be good. Like that's a hard thing.
Yeah.
Oh no, experimental puppetry in Atlanta.
Wait, what?
Ambaloo shared something that looks kind of terrifying.
I don't know. I'm not really an avant-garde puppetry person, I think. No? Yeah.
I like weird theater.
Well, this looks like it's for you, bud.
No, I'm not going to Atlanta. Oh, but I mean, it is only $15.30 if you're a member. It's pretty.
Are you a member of the Center for Puppetry Arts?
What do you think?
I mean, almost certainly.
Yeah.
Speaking of puppets.
That's right. Yeah. Speaking of puppets, we got, what was it? Sparkles? Sparkles, the crazy robot. I forgot that we had this one on the list. Did they actually put fur on this robot, or was that CG?
No, they put fur on it.
That's pretty amazing. It's weird because
didn't Evan and Caitlin just do this?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they put fur on their Furby robot thing.
Yeah.
It's really weird because the robots like this move in a way that triggers the uncanny valley stuff. And then that fur makes it look like CG.
Yeah.
That's neat.
It's kind of adorable.
It's going to be just as adorable when it has a machine gun and a flamethrower and it breaks.
Or even more so. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's 1 a.m. It's time for the robot flamethrower dog to bust through your door because they got the wrong address.
Yeah. Let me find the Evan and Caitlin one. Because it was pretty recent, right?
Yeah, it was in the last couple of weeks.
Furby robot dog. Yeah. Furby robot dog.
Yep.
Of course, they lean in on the weird in ways that
on the weird.
You know.
And then they took it out for walks and stuff, and had it meet neighbors. And that guy looks like Dave Filoni.
Yeah. So there you go.
That's an enjoyable video, but all they really did was glue fur onto a robot somebody else did.
Yeah, skillfully glued it, but yeah. So like, where's the LiDAR on this guy? Is my question. Is it sticking out from under his chin, or is it?
They've got a little opening in the beard area there.
Or did they just decide we don't care? It's fine.
Just bang into people. It's fine.
Yeah. Let the other robots worry about such things.
They can stay out of our way. It's a MAGA bot.
If it was Andorol, it'd be just tied into all the robot LiDARs around there. You know?
The thing is, though, it's entirely being controlled over an unencrypted VNC connection.
VLC. Yeah. Yeah, that was that. Yeah. If they did that, that was a bad choice.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's how you do it, man. That's the future.
Yeah. Boy.
All right. I think it's time to say goodbye.
Yeah, probably.
So Rob Roseboom.
Goodbye.
Chris DeBona.
See you.
That was episode 835 of Geeks in Space. I was Rob Commander Taco Malda. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.